I would like to formally acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which this event is taking place and pay my respects to elders past and present, and I know there's some First Nations leaders here with us today. Good morning. It's great to be with you at the Courier Mail's Bush Summit. Townsville's a bit like a second home for me. I'm here so often. Queensland is different to the other states in that way. The other premiers can pretty much govern from their capital cities. There's not much else to their state, whereas Queensland is much more diverse with our big regional centres, and Townsville is first amongst those big regional centres. To lead Queensland, you need to understand the city and the bush, which is what makes this Bush Summit and the focus that the Courier Mail brings to regional Queensland just so important. And you need to address the issues of the day while also planning for the future. When I first started coming to Townsville in 2015, unemployment was around 9%. Then Clive Palmer did the unthinkable and closed Queensland Nickel. It felt like this place would never recover. Now, North Queensland is booming. Unemployment has been around 4% since the pandemic. For as long as I can remember, we always thought that an economy delivering for working people was one with low unemployment. But despite those unprecedented low unemployment rates, many Queenslanders are still struggling with increased costs. Now we know that in time, wages will catch up. But what Queenslanders need now is support in the meantime. That's why my focus this year has been on cost of living relief. Things like electricity bill rebates and vehicle rego discounts that are designed to help families get through this difficult time and out the other side. When I heard from the RACQ that lack of competition among big petrol companies was hurting Queenslanders, I responded. My comprehensive plan to increase competition and smooth out the pricing cycle will lead to cheaper fuel for Queenslanders. Early this year, I visited Coles in Annandale here in Townsville. Locals told me they were struggling to afford the essentials, especially fresh meat and veggies. Then I started visiting farmers like Trev near Bundaberg. He told me Coles offered him so little for his cherry tomatoes, it was cheaper for him to leave them to rot on the vine. That's why I held a parliamentary inquiry to scrutinise supermarket pricing. And last week I announced the establishment of a Queensland Food Farmers Commissioner to advocate for our farmers in their unequal relationships with suppliers and the big supermarkets. Expressions of interest for that role are currently open. There's no denying that many parts of Queensland experienced an awful escalation in crime, including here in Townsville. In fact, I told the Sunday Mail addressing community safety would be a priority of mine. There's no simple solution, although for oppositions, sensationalising crime does make for simple politics. What I know is, by and large, Queensland kids are good kids. But the causes of youth crime are as complex as the world these young people are growing up in. It means that there is a small number of young people who are doing the wrong thing, and Queenslanders can't be expected to tolerate that. Our comprehensive community safety plan is working. In January, I launched a new police helicopter here in Townsville. I've since announced new helicopters in Cairns and Wide Bay as well. In April, I launched our evidence-based community safety plan, underpinned by $1.28 billion. It's our investment in prevention, intervention, and detention. And in June, we launched the Putting Queensland Kids First plan, which invests $500 million to make sure our littlest Queenslanders are getting the best start in life so they can have a bright and productive future. That's a personal passion of mine, intervening early to make sure less young people end up on the wrong path. Today I can announce a new early intervention program to keep at-risk kids on track. Powerlink will launch Cattleman's Dreaming, a program for young people in the Townsville region disengaged from education and their communities. It will give them skills and training, leading to work experience and permanent employment in the energy industry, including working on copper string. Copper string is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Now it will also create a pathway for young people who need a helping hand. There's more to do, but our plan is working, and we are starting to see kids turning back to the right path. This year has seen a 10.7% drop in overall offences committed by young people. In Townsville, reported offences by young people are down 24%. Obviously, any crime is too much crime, but thanks to our police, we are on the right track, and we need to stay the course to keep Queenslanders safe. I've spoken before about how fortunate I feel to have had secure housing. My parents scraped together the money to buy a quarter-acre block in the suburbs of Brisbane and build a family home for me and my sister. Today, Kim and I have a good family home where we're raising our 3 kids. I want all Queenslanders to have the same opportunity of knowing what it's like to have that security. That's why we're working hard to deliver more homes for Queenslanders. Between January and June this year, we added 752 more homes to our social housing stock. That's a 33% increase. And there are 141 less families waiting on the social housing register than at the same time last year. I know people are moving in droves to our bustling regional cities like Townsville. And why wouldn't they? That's why we're investing over $1.1 billion for social and affordable housing. Here in Townsville, there are 20 new accessible social homes under construction, and I recently opened a 40-unit Townsville Youth Foyer, which gives young people experiencing homelessness a safe place to stay. Over a century ago, Townsville's North Rail Yards was a depot for Queensland Rail. Now we're investing $35 million to get the Rail Yards precinct ready for residential development. As a former health minister, I've seen firsthand the incredible work our health heroes do all over Queensland. I want to back them with more staff and great new facilities. We are delivering the largest investment in regional health infrastructure ever. And we are recruiting and training more nurses and doctors and health professionals than ever before. From the bustling clinics in regional towns to the lone practitioners in our most remote outposts, the rural health workforce does a fantastic job at looking after Queenslanders. My first budget as Premier included new funding to attract and retain doctors in regional Queensland. We're providing interstate and international medical practitioners with a payment of up to $70,000 to move to Queensland and $20,000 for other health professionals. That workforce attraction scheme has brought more than 1,320 doctors, nurses, midwives and health professionals as far north as the Torres Strait and as far west as Mount Isa. And more than 70% of these new frontline workers are based in regional, rural or remote regions. In the southeast, our nation-leading satellite hospitals are making a real difference, delivering care in communities where people need it. More than 110,000 patients have been seen at minor injury and illness clinics across the 7 new satellite hospitals since they opened. This has led to significant reductions in Category 4 and 5 presentations at EDs within the same communities. For example, Ipswich ED saw a 24.9% drop in low acuity patients in the June quarter. Caboolture ED saw a 19.8% reduction. We know satellite hospitals work, and we know many of our regional hospitals are also under pressure. Hervey Bay ED had over 11,500 presentations last quarter. That's a 7% increase. So now I want to take what has worked in the southeast and expand it to regional Queensland. I want to build more satellite hospitals right across the state. I know some people think we should cut back on infrastructure spending, but now is not the time to do that, even though costs have increased. Now is not the time to deny Queenslanders the hospitals, roads, and new energy that we need. I am determined to build the infrastructure regional communities need. The $107 billion big build is delivering the biggest pipeline of infrastructure in our state's history, and more than 68% is outside of Greater Brisbane. It includes train manufacturing in Maryborough, expanding our regional hospitals, building state schools and transport infrastructure, as well as a record investment in the Bruce Highway. I've guaranteed that at least 55% of road funding will be spent outside of Brisbane. It's the job of a good government to set our state up for a strong future. Our global trading partners are demanding that what we sell has been produced using renewable energy. Queensland risks losing investment, trade opportunities, and rural and regional jobs if we don't adapt to deliver what the world wants. That's why we're investing $26 billion this year alone to deliver our energy and jobs plan, to deliver our commitment to reaching 80% renewable energy and 75% less emissions by 2035. It will secure our existing jobs, like the 3,000 Queenslanders reliant on Rio Tinto's aluminium operations in Gladstone, and make sure we secure the 145,000 more jobs and $430 billion in economic activity that's coming, thanks to projects like Copper String and the Lansdowne Eco-Industrial Precinct. In fact, over 85% of those new jobs will be in regional Queensland. In October, I'm asking Queenslanders for my own mandate, a mandate for the vision I have for the future of Queensland. I will invest in our regions to ensure they are set up for success now and into the future. Because when our bush communities thrive, the rest of Queensland does too.